Something very strange is happening in Major League Baseball. The 2025 season has only just begun, and we are already witnessing events that defy all logic and expectation. Teams that were supposed to dominate are crumbling. Teams that were supposed to suck are in first place after doing things we haven't seen in over 100 years. An all-star from last year has already been suspended for PED use, home runs are on the rise again, and the juiced ball might be back.
The Yankees' 9th home run of the day! They did it again!
Pitchers are batting again. This guy is eating tape off of his bat. Roki Sasaki was crying after his second major league start. Multiple Pikachus are on the field. The A's are holding press conferences in a tool shed. And baseball bats are now legally shaped like torpedoes. We are just a little over a week of games in, and this is not even the half of it. The 2025 season is officially here, and it's already getting pretty weird. Now, the new MLB season technically did start on March 18th in Japan, with the Dodgers and the Cubs facing each other at the Tokyo Dome. The opening ceremony was, however, completely taken over by Pokemon. This was after a small child started the opening ceremony on the pitcher's mound with a Pokeball instead of a baseball, and giant Pikachus walking around the field greeting players as they were announced in each team's introductions. 2 weeks later, on March 27th, 2025, opening day was here. All 30 teams were scheduled to play, with most games starting at about 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The fans were ready for a new season. The hype was there for first pitch, and then MLB's official streaming service, MLB TV, inexplicably went down right as most games were starting. You couldn't watch or even listen to broadcast audio. Huge debuts were missed, like Garrett Crochet's first start as a Red Sox and Juan Soto's first at-bat and hit as a Met. All fans were met with was a screen that said network error and to try again later. Opening day, the one day it needed to work flawlessly, the $150 yearly service effectively vanished. People expectedly went insane online, with MLB not making a single statement while the issue was happening. Everyone was left in the dark until service was restored about an hour later. But by that time, the damage was already done. MLB later put out a statement about the issue and offered $10 off of a purchase $25 or more from the MLB shop website. Then there is the Marlins, a team left out of most conversations in a competitive NL East. Written off as a last-place team with the lowest active payroll in the majors, it makes perfect sense that they were in first place after the first 4 games of the season, with all 3 of their first wins achieved in walk-off fashion against the Pirates, winning Game 1 of the season on a walk-off single, Game 3 of the season on another walk-off single, and then Game 4 of the season on a wild pitch. This is the first time a team has won its first 3 games via walk-off since the 2003 Rays. The Marlins are also the first team since the Brewers in 1901 with 3 walk-off wins in the first series of a season. The Pirates also participated in history this series, becoming the first team to be walked off for the first 3 losses of a season since 1924. And because time is a flat circle, the team from 1924 that achieved this feat was also, of course, the Pirates. On the opposite end of expectations, the Braves, who have been widely regarded as the team that will win the NL East, are currently in last place in the division. Opening the season playing a 4-game series against the Padres in San Diego, the Braves were swept, going 0-4 against the Padres. Not only that, but by the end of the series, Atlanta would go 28 innings without scoring a run, notching just 1 hit in the series finale against San Diego, where the Padres faced the minimum batters. To add insult to injury, the Braves' only free agent acquisition over the offseason, Jurickson Profar, has been suspended for 80 games because he tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. But the good news is that the Braves broke their scoreless streak after 28 innings with a Michael Harris home run in the opening game in their following series against the Dodgers. But unfortunately, the Braves would lose that game anyway, getting swept by the Dodgers and have started the season going 0-7. While the Padres so far are 7-0 2-0, a franchise best start, and the Dodgers started the season going 8-0, the best start ever for a defending World Series champion. And then there was the White Sox, who this season decided to start winning games, which is considered ideal. In their third game of the season at home, the Sox were completely overwhelmed and seemingly unprepared as a massive rain and hailstorm rolled in during the 7th inning. As the grounds crew were laying the tarp out, the rain completely flooded the tarp, making it so heavy that it no longer could be extended to the rest of the infield. The grounds crew were seemingly fighting for their lives. They then decided the only thing they could do was a patch job using several different tarps of various shapes, sizes, and colors to cover as much of the infield as possible, which left us with this as the finished product, a true work of art. And in more predictably unpredictable weather news, the Rockies' home opener was their most memorable in recent history. Playing in not only 37-degree weather, the coldest home opener in team history, but in the middle of an absolute blizzard that seemingly got worse as the game went on. Fans and players were seen bundled up, braving the snow and wind throughout the game, and because it's a cold, cold world, the Rockies would fall to the A's 6-3. Speaking of things happening on the field, the Rays and the A's are playing in minor league stadiums, and it's going just as good as everyone expected, especially since the A's are holding their press conferences in what appears to be a makeshift tool shed where it looks like they can barely fit more than about 20 people, with the A's backdrop not even covering the entire wall behind the fold-out interview table. The exterior looks a bit familiar, as something similar can actually be purchased at Home Depot for just about $6,000. The Rays, on the other hand, had to move their opening day from March 27th to the 28th. Not for weather-related reasons, no, but to allow themselves enough time to decorate and transition the minor league stadium the Yankees are allowing them to use, George M. Steinbrenner Field, with Rays branding. Before we move forward, I'd like to take a moment to try and save you some money. Shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring. You can use promo code JabroniBaseball to get $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. You can use SeatGeek for sports, concerts, music festivals, Broadway shows, comedy shows, and more. Again, my viewers get $20 off their first purchase with code JabroniBaseball. That's one word, all caps. Click the link in the description to download the app. This season is just a little over a week in, and it's already breaking people. Roki Sasaki made his major league debut on March 19th against the Cubs, where he pitched 3 innings while giving up 5 walks. He then made his second start on March 29th against the Tigers at Dodger Stadium, where he was pulled after throwing 61 pitches in 1.2 innings while walking 4. Visibly shaken by his performance, he was shortly afterwards seen in the dugout crying. On the opposite end of the coast in Boston, Red Sox full-time DH Rafael Devers has set a major league record by becoming the first player to ever strike out 12 times in his season's first 4 games. Ultimately, he would go 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts before he notched his first hit of the season. Clearly upset about his performance, this picture was shared of him alone in the dugout with Jason Varitek consoling him. In more weird things, St. Louis Cardinals catcher Wilson Contreras in the middle of an at-bat was seen ripping loose grip tape off of his bat with his teeth, and because he had already called timeout earlier in the at-bat, he panicked on a 3-2 count, trying to avoid a pitch clock violation, and then proceeded to put the tape in his mouth and chew it instead, which he later did say he regretted doing because it tasted terrible. And the Diamondbacks ran out of position players against the Cubs on March 30th, so in the 8th inning they had pitcher Ryan Nelson bat for the first time in his major league career. The Snakes inserted him as a DH, and he ended up hitting an RBI single up the middle, helping the Diamondbacks in an 8-run 8th inning comeback to beat the Cubs. Nelson became the first pitcher not named Shohei Ohtani to record a hit since the universal DH was implemented in 2022. The very next day, the A's were hosting the Cubs, where they got completely annihilated 18-3. Because of this, the A's put catcher Johnny Pereda into pitch while the Cubs pinch hit for their shortstop by putting in starting pitcher Colin Ray to bat. Pereda would end up striking out Ray, a very rare moment where a catcher strikes out a pitcher in a major league game. Carson Kelly ended up hitting for the cycle, which is the first time a Cub has done it since 1993.
And he's hit! Oh my! We got motorcycle!
Mackenzie Gore tied Bob Gibson as the only pitchers in American and National League history to have 13 strikeouts and no walks in a scoreless opening day start.
Through 5 innings of dominant pitching. Swing and a miss!
Now to where things get really weird and records continue to be broken. Offense and home runs are back. On opening day, we saw several players have multiple homer games and offensive explosions, so much so that fans thought that not only were the juiced baseballs back, but they are back more juiced than ever before. That was until torpedo bats took over baseball.
Torpedo bats have been the talk of the baseball world.
The torpedo bats.
The torpedo bats on the torpedo style.
Torpedo bats.
Torpedo. It's basically, they call the torpedo bat.
Torpedo bat.
The torpedo bat.
On March 29th, the Yankees played the Brewers where they scored 20 runs. The first 3 pitches of the game were all hit for home runs by Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, and Aaron Judge, which is the first time a team has homered on the first 3 pitches since tracking of pitch counts started in 1988. In that same game, Austin Wells homered, Anthony Volpe homered, Jazz homered, and Oswald Peraza homered. That wasn't enough because Aaron Judge then homered 2 more times that game, including a grand slam, and almost did it a 4th time but settled for a double off the wall instead. The Yankees hit 9 home runs in this one game, setting a franchise record for the most home runs in a single game. During that game, however, it was pointed out that several Yankees were using bats that have their barrels modified to a natural position on the bat for certain players to be able to hit the sweet spot easier. This made people lose their absolute minds, calling the bats illegal, demanding answers from Major League Baseball, and calling for the immediate ban of these bats. Brewers closer Trevor McGill said he's never seen anything like it before and that he thinks it's terrible, but because it's the Yankees using it, the league would let it slide. The very next day, the Yankees would then score 12 more runs against the Brewers, with Aaron Judge hitting 1, Ben Rice hitting 1, and torpedo bat user Jazz Chisholm hitting 2 home runs in that game. As a team, they have set a new MLB record for the most home runs hit in the first 4 games of a season with 17. And thanks to the Yankees, the Brewers are now the first team in baseball history with a team ERA of over 12 after the first 4 games of a season. Jazz then took to X the day after that game to call those questioning the bats idiots. MLB has since then said that the bats are legal and fall within regulation. It turns out the inventor of the torpedo bat is an MIT scientist who was hired by the Yankees in 2018. His goal was to develop this new bat, and it took until 2025 for it to really gain popularity amongst players. As of the recording of this video, people are still absolutely losing their minds over this, and torpedo bat mania has no end in sight. Anyway, with that being said, Jack Leiter did get hit in the groin by a ball thrown by his catcher, and Alex Bregman face planted so hard that he cut his nose too, and we are barely a little over a week into the 2025 season. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me and the channel out a ton with making these videos, and I really do appreciate that. What are your thoughts on the insane start to the 2025 season? Sound off in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.